and welcome to Shooting the Bull. What's up? How's it going? I'm Justin.
I'm Mariana.
I'm Ross.
And we welcome you back here to another exciting episode of Shooting the Bull. How's everybody doing today? Is everybody enjoying their Christmases so far?
So great.
Yeah. So great.
So great.
Have you gotten any of the Christmas shopping done yet? You know, I've only done one thing. I got Ariana's present.
Correct.
That's the only that's the only Christmas shopping I've done. That's it.
Damn.
Done some for my mom and some for Audrey.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Not much.
I need you to tell me what to get Audrey, actually. I have no idea what to get Audrey. She's got so much stuff. I mean, I know the stuff that she's interested in, but she's got so much of that stuff, I don't know what
she's got.
I don't know what she's getting and what she doesn't.
I've got some ideas.
Good. I'd love to hear those. I will talk to you, but I don't want to say it here.
That's right.
Because, you know,
They might hear.
that would be although Ari kind of knows what she's getting because
I always know. I'm a hard person to shop for.
she sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
People never know what to get me. So,
So
I'm
she
like,
just sends
So
it.
you
Here.
make sure you don't get disappointed.
oh no, I love everything.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I didn't know if it was like he's gonna
you could
probably
literally give me an apple and a bow and I'd be happy.
I doubt that.
Hey.
I imagine I've given you something before you probably didn't enjoy.
I think it's.
What are you talking about? Go ahead, think about it. Please give me an answer.
The Walmart gift card. Very first present.
I used it.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. It was a very thoughtful gift. It was free money.
In China,
But
I think it's
Walmart.
China. They have apples that they give people for Christmas, and it's in like a little box. It's pretty cool looking.
That's probably because...
And you know me, but I hate apples,
Yeah.
and I'd be cool with that gift.
I like
It
apples.
looks so good.
Why do you hate apples?
They're boring. They're so disappointing.
No, man. A green apple, if you take a green apple and dip it in caramel,
Well, what's the point?
it's like the best thing. What do you mean, what's the
Just
point?
eat caramel.
Exactly.
But I like the taste of the apple, too.
Well, good for you.
Why don't you just eat it alone? Why don't you just eat it by itself? So you like the taste of it, but
'cause
the
it's-
first example you
Because
ate it
it's
with something else.
boring.
Well, there you go.
No, I don't like red apples. I like green apples.
Yeah.
Green apples are good. I can eat that by itself.
Red apples are fine. Green apples are great. I hate the in-between one. That's like a...
Right. I actually
like a
do like
pinkish
those.
red.
They're like
Yeah.
Honey Crisps.
Those are
Honey
gross.
Crisp.
I
Oh, they're
hate
like-
those.
Yeah, those are good.
There's some that have been like modified to taste like strawberries.
That's weird.
It is
What?
weird. I think I'd be cool with that though.
Yeah. I just think it's. I would be scared to eat an apple that's been genetically modified.
Yeah.
You eat just about everything you eat has probably been genetic.
By the way, I'm glad you bring this up. Let me move into this. I saw this the other day, and this shocked me. It was things that the food agency allows to go onto the shelves, and it was. In peanut butter, they can allow like up to a certain amount of grams of insects and insects heads. And I think they were saying that there is at least 3 dead insects per container of Fig Newtons. Was one of them. Is
That's disgusting.
that crunch that you got? They said that you are guaranteed. If you buy 1 carton of Fig Newtons, you are guaranteed that there is an insect in that carton somewhere.
That's
Guaranteed.
disgusting. Do you know about the Parmesan grated cheese and
I do, the
sawdust?
sawdust. Yes. That they allow like a certain amount of sawdust. It's like 3% of it can contain sawdust before it becomes unhealthy.
That's right.
Yeah, that 3%.
Because that's normal.
Yeah. But that was one. Peanut butter was another one. They will allow up maggots.
Ew.
A certain amount of maggots is
There's
fine.
a cheese that has
Maggots in
larvae
it.
in it.
Yeah.
They let the maggots eat it, and whatever it shits out is the cheese.
I think you're recommended to eat it with them in it though.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, you are.
It's delicious.
If they're alive, then it's still good.
Cheese is disgusting.
I've never eaten that cheese. Well, says the guy with lactose problems. I love cheese.
But even if I didn't have the problem, the taste of cheese
I love
is pretty
cheese.
gross.
I was at a party Friday night and they had this smoked Gouda.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
That was good.
Oh, that sounds good.
Well, you had the opportunity to get some, you didn't.
Well, I saved it for the salmon. The salmon was banging.
You should have seen my plate. They had 3 meats.
Oh my god.
I got all 3.
So I got like a normal sized plate where everything's just flat, but it's like healthy mixtures of
We got
foods.
nothing on it.
Justin got a mountain. He got
Meat
every
mountain.
single type of thing you could get. Just
piled
stacked
on.
on top
But
of it.
what was funny was that they
He
had...
ate it faster than I ate my plate.
What was funny is that they had like potatoes.
Yeah.
They had a pasta, which was They had asparagus. They had a salad, which was impossible to eat. And then they had like 3 types of meats.
Yeah.
And I just went for it, man. I got me one of the salmon, I got me one of the chicken, I got me one of the steak. I had everything. I had sea covered, I had land covered, I had air covered. I had everything. I had everything. But yeah,
Mold covered.
Mold. Oh, that was another thing. They will allow a certain percentage of mold on certain foods before they say that it's not healthy. It kind of ruined my appetite a lot. I think peanut butter apparently is really disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, peanut butter apparently.
Especially chunky peanut butter.
How much of that is peanuts and how much of that is bugs? I don't know. We don't know. We're saying on this show that we don't know.
We don't.
That's what we're saying.
Let's find out. No, I'm just kidding.
Who knows? I know, you're
I
right.
think with ketchup as well. A certain amount of bugs in ketchup.
I like ketchup.
Ketchup's just sugar.
You know, I just ate and I'm hungry
sugar.
already.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I want a burger.
We're talking about bugs in food, and you're
I'm
hungry.
getting hungry. I ate a caterpillar one time in a popsicle.
Didn't they? There's some
Lollipop.
kind of museum that in the gift
It's
shop.
that science museum that we had the party at.
Mm-hmm.
And
that has lollipops.
that science museum and that gift shop that we went to, they will give you a lollipop that's got like a
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, no thanks.
All kinds of
grasshopper
bugs.
in it.
That's stupid. I mean, that's just stupid.
It is stupid.
Didn't you eat bugs, though, just by themselves? When you were a kid? I thought there's some story where you ate a bug, where you got confused and started eating bugs.
Dude, I
Sounds like you.
I cannot recall that. I mean, I don't want to say no because I don't know, but I do not remember that at all.
Like some beetles or something you
I think
by
I used to eat
accident
dirt,
Beetles.
but not bugs.
I used to make mud pies.
and eat them?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you eat them.
I ate Play-Doh.
Oh, Play-Doh was delicious.
You-
It
yeah,
was
both of
salty.
you guys ate
It was
Play-Doh.
soft. It was good. I remember it because it was like last week. I'm just kidding. No, it was really good though. I do remember Play-Doh.
Well, it's funny because you two, I guess, are what people talk about because I hear all these stories about kids eating stuff like Play-Doh and like glue, and I'm like, I never ate that. I never even wanted to eat that.
I used to take.
Who did that?
I used to like the.
And then here we go. I'm in the minority now.
This is weird now because
Minority.
this is weird because now I am very funny about like my hands. I like to be clean.
Yeah.
And but back when I was a kid, I used to like to take glue and put it all over, and it would dry, and it'd be fun to kind of do like the sticky stuff with it, like because it would like your fingers would get stuck, and it'd be fun to kind of pull them apart.
You have a story about someone eating glue. Do you not? I remember years ago you telling me about some kid who ate glue.
I'm trying to remember.
Or was it you who ate the glue?
That's probably him.
I did not eat the glue.
Glue eater.
I did not. You know what I did do one time? This is funny. Mom had this on tape. Was in my I went to preschool and they were going to do a circus, and they were going to do a circus.
Okay.
So they dressed me up like a clown, and my job in the circus was they gave me a Fisher-Price gas tank. And my job in the circus is that the people who were in the Fisher-Price cars, I had to go around, and when they ran out of gas, I had to go in and I had to fill up the tank. That was my job. When they would, there was
They give you the important stuff.
Yeah, basically that's all they felt like I could do.
He literally keeps going.
And I ruined this, so I messed this up. So like,
Start drinking from the gas.
there was there's no gas in the thing, but like so the circus begins. And I'm walking around, and I'm not paying attention to anything that's going on because I'm looking for Mom. Because Mom was supposed to be there, but I can't find her in the crowd. So I'm not paying attention to anything. And I think that the teachers kept coming over to me, and they were like, hey, this car's out of gas, go fill it up. And I just kind of walk over there, but I would be like looking at the stage the entire time and putting gas in the car. Yeah. And finally, I freaked because I couldn't find her. And I flew my little gas can away, and I took off across the auditorium just screaming and crying because I couldn't find.
Please get that video on our channel. I want to see it.
And yet you like NASCAR. You think that would have spoiled it for you?
Seriously.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, that's why I was cut out for driving. I was never going to be a gas man. That's for sure. I'd be looking around. Who's in the stands?
There's my mom.
I don't see. I just run across the infield. No. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I couldn't take it, so I went running across. So why Mom had to then get out of the stands, go get me because I ran out of the auditorium. Yeah. Go get me, and then I spent the rest of the show watching it from the stands with Mom.
That's so ridiculous.
I didn't even get to return to the circus. but I freaked out in front of everyone. Stopped the circus, basically, and just ran out of the room.
That's ridiculous.
So funny.
During preschool.
I was so addicted whenever I was younger to sneezing on my sister. I don't know what that's about, but there's so many home videos of me just sneezing on Apple whenever my parents put the camera down. It's beautiful. I could make a compilation.
My family never did like home movie type stuff. Never did it.
Never did that?
Nope.
We have some. I don't know where they are. I know we've got one of ours. There was this massage vibrator. Back then, they were the
Massage.
There was a massage. It was like the first ever like massage
Okay, you
machine.
said it right that time.
Massage.
It's the massage.
You said massage.
Massage, like misogynistic.
That was. I remember.
Massage stick.
That's what they were like, and they had this big circular thing at the end, and it would kind of just run around, and you just run it across your back. This was the early.
Okay.
Y'all know, yeah. Well, you probably remember the thing.
I
That
know.
you saw. Yeah, she's too young.
I mean, it's a massage.
One.
I don't know what you call it.
No,
Massage machine.
I think you call it a vibrator?
No, it's not that. No, this has like a big head on it.
Yeah.
Way
It
too.
did.
Like, this ain't
way
good.
big.
This ain't going inside anyone's
This
body.
is yeah, no. This
I
was
was
the,
like, phrasing?
this was the 90s. Everything was like 2 times as big in the 90s because they weren't making things smaller back then. They were still making them bigger because they had to
Yeah.
still work in the components. This thing
Yeah.
is massive.
Yeah.
But I remember that we had a video of Audra holding the thing and running it across the chair, and it was bouncing up and down. And
That's
she was
hilarious.
she was laughing
yeah.
uncontrollably at this thing because she's like holding on to it.
Aw.
And she's yeah.
Yeah, I think we used to have one too.
Yeah. That was like one of the first ones that came out. You're like, you can massage yourself.
Back in the
That's
90s,
funny.
it seemed like there was a big sort of like all these odd appliance type things.
Yeah.
It was like big.
Yeah, they were creating those type of things.
Those
then.
little like hand vacs.
Yeah,
Those were big.
those were big dirt.
I still have
devils.
one of those.
Mhm. Yeah.
You remember the original Dirt Devil commercials that would
Oh,
come? I remember when we had one. It was a red one. It was like that big.
Yeah.
Had the little bag in the back, and it would. I just love when you turn it on. It would just go.
Wait, do they not so you don't know about the massage things? Does they still
She's
exist?
young, yeah.
Do they not? But they still exist, those ones.
Yeah, but they've
Just
you
not
know,
as popular.
They're not like they used to be. Like
Yeah.
back then. Like this long stick with that big head thing on it.
Yeah.
No.
God, it looked like it would rip your back to pieces, but
Jesus. The way it's described, I don't know if I would use that on my body.
it was the 90s, man.
It's not that. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of explaining it because it wasn't
Not
that
giving
intimidating.
justice.
It wasn't
No,
intimidating.
I think when you're a kid, I guess it probably wasn't even that big, but when you
It was only like I think it was maybe
this
like
big,
a
yeah.
foot, a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
more,
Yeah.
and the head of it was only like about like that big.
But Audra, though, it was
6
hilarious
inches or
because when she got hold of that thing in that video, she was going across that chair.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's like a
She
big
was like
thing. The whole
3.
like filming, but I just never did. Took pictures.
Yeah.
Took pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real photogenic, so I don't have a good picture of me anywhere.
Okay.
It does not exist.
I was way more photogenic when I was a kid, so I've got a lot of good
I
pictures
was
of me.
not.
Yeah,
I looked like a monster. It was scary.
I was always like really happy when I was a kid.
Oh
Look at me
no!
now.
Oh no!
Yeah, I probably was that way too.
Yeah.
Crap.
I've been poopy for like weeks.
We should get you some laxatives.
Maybe so. Get that
Sounds like an issue. Maybe some like
Maybe so. So,
fiber.
so I think I made mention in my drunken stupor last week. I didn't listen all the way through the show, but
Couldn't bear to. Too embarrassed.
No, it was funny. I was laughing at myself. Well, there was a couple of moments where I just shook my head. I was like, I can't believe it. But it was funny to me. It was hilarious. I just never made it to the whole thing. But but anyway,
You probably just took your own advice and turned the other way.
That's
I
right.
did. I took my advice and turned the other way.
Turn left.
That was a funny experiment though. But anyway,
Was that an experiment?
no, but it turned out being one.
It is now.
And I kind of
Who will be drunk next week?
enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah.
Listening to that. That was kind of fun. Anyway, apparently at some point, I do not remember this. I have terrible memory anyway. I told you that you can't have something from nothing.
Yeah,
So
you
we
started
thought-
to.
I started to. So we thought that we would get into some...
What was the color debate? Because you said, how can an absence of color be a color?
Oh, just like when
White.
you mix with lights,
Mm-hmm.
the red, green, blue, make white.
So that's what he said, and then he said, it's like saying you got something from nothing. which
Yeah.
can't happen. And then I was going to push back, but we saved it for today.
Okay.
Oh,
so we are
I'm
going
excited.
to. That's right. So we're going to get into some philosophy stuff, and I believe Ari has also got some other philosophy questions she will pose to the group, and we will discuss them. So
Well,
let's start with this one first.
Well, I was going to say, let's save that one for last, because that's the. I mean, that's probably the biggest
Well,
one.
let's do it your way, Ross.
Okay.
On shooting the bull, we'll just do it Ross's way.
Fantastic.
All right. So go ahead, give us one here.
Okay. Well, there was actually one. I was joking about it with somebody. I was behind a truck, and the sticker said, "How is my driving?" or "How am I driving?" And I was like, "Well, how am I driving? What is driving? Like, am I moving, or is the car moving? Am I sitting still and everything around me is moving?" It blew my mind. I needed to take a seat. Thankfully, I was in a car.
I was going to say, this is an easy one. I think we can get this one.
Right.
I think we can too. So it's saying, "How is my
How
driving?
am I driving?
How am I driving?" And,
Yeah.
and it would be.
Because the inflection was supposed to be, "How am I driving?
How am I
Like,
driving?
am I
Like,
doing a good job?
a good job?
Yeah.
But you thought,
How am I
how
driving?"
am I doing
How is this possible?
Right. Like, how do you turn...
Let's explain the mechanics.
Like, how do we get from gasoline
Yeah.
to power something that is a motor and that's made of metal, where it's covered in plastic and other types of materials, and we move it forward by pressing a pedal? It's just... I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I have no idea.
That's it. I will take, since I am such a
Car
known
expert.
car enthusiast. I will say though that driving to me driving, if you want to say how am I doing it, well you're sitting your ass in that seat and you are you are behind the wheel. You have control of the machine. You give the car gas. The gas fires into the engine, which
Is this philosophy?
No.
I guess if
I don't
you,
think this has
if
anything to
you
do with
look at-
philosophy. I thought
think
we were
if you
actually
look at
asking
it-
like important questions.
This one philosophy question here just says, what is time? Does God exist? Like, these are just the most
What is time's
basic.
interesting.
What is time?
Let's talk about that, because I
We-
think we briefed on that not that long ago, and I still am under the assumption that time is something that
we created?
we created, so therefore time actually in the universe doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, this is something that I didn't really get to talk about when we were talking about time.
Let's do it now.
We were going about time travel.
It's now the time
It's
to
now
talk
the
about time.
But time travel, we had all the, the understandable reasons why it wouldn't work. But one thing we didn't talk about was the fact that the past and the future, the two places you would go if you were time traveling, don't exist.
Right.
They don't exist.
No.
The future does not exist,
It does
nor does
not.
the past.
That's right.
Because
it's
there is
gone.
no difference in the present right now than what is the past, what is the future.
Yeah, you can't go back in time because the past that you understand it doesn't exist.
Right.
It's not like we're living on a set of a bunch of different,
And some people think it kind of is that way.
It's sort of do, but there's no reason
for it to
think
work.
that
It would
other
have to
than
be that
wants
way. I do not believe it works that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is a set line of things that you can rewind and go back, like a timeline. And like I said before, time is something that people came up with to document the passing of time on the planet,
Right.
seasons, when things were going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you go outside the Earth, time does not exist because
Well, it's relative. That's
it's
the whole theory
relative.
of
I mean, we
relativity.
create
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
so I guess time would still exist, but it would exist for us. So let's say another being, let's
On
say
another planet.
another being on another planet creates their own set of time.
But
Time would be different for them.
But the passage of time is the same. I mean, what are you saying? That we could have decided that an hour is 40 minutes instead of
Yeah, but in
60?
the universe,
But it would still be the
universe goes by its own passage of time.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It would still be the same amount of time, regardless of what we categorized it as. If we decided to right now that an hour is going to be 90 minutes from now on, what we know as 60 minutes does not all of a sudden become 90 minutes. As far as we're concerned, all we've done is we've changed the measurement, but the passage of it passes exactly as it did prior to the change.
There would be so much chaos.
Yeah. But it would still be the same as you understand it.
Yeah.
You would just say, oh, an hour now is a bit longer.
Well, it's about like when we set our clocks back, we basically change time.
That's true.
and we know that like what
But
time is it now?
everything happens.
It's 7:50 now, so in the summertime it's actually going to be 6:50.
But that's a perfect example because it doesn't get darker.
No,
It gets dark the same amount of time it would have had we not changed it. So that right there is
A perfect example.
of what I was saying.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Universe has got its own time frame.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We just try to document that in a way that works for us.
Yeah, but the concept of going back and forth in the past or the future, it's not possible for a lot of other reasons, but a lot of people don't grasp that it does not exist.
Right.
There's nothing to go back to. It's stopped.
Like you can always travel forward into the future, but that's if you just freeze yourself.
Yeah.
But then that's only going
That's
in the
just
future for yourself.
Perception.
Yes.
I thought about this yesterday. I was having a terrible day, and I was sitting in the car, and I remember thinking, I wish I could fast forward time to where I could skip over hours and days that I didn't want to do, and just get to another point and just be like, okay, I don't want to deal with the next 3 days. I want to go ahead to where when I get there, hopefully everything is better.
Yeah.
Or I want to skip ahead weeks to where I know how something's going to turn out and I don't even have to deal with it. If it sucks, I don't have to deal with it because I'll just get there and it'll be over with. And I was thinking that would be so great if you could just, you ever thought, so sometimes I just don't want to do it today. And I want to skip over it and I want to go on to another day.
I guess
But then I got to thinking, as much as I would love to do that, at the same time, it's basically you're getting rid of time.
Yeah.
But you're saying that once all this stuff is done, you'll be fine emotionally. Then you'll be fine emotionally
Anyway.
if you do it.
That's true.
That's true. I would just like to skip over all that stuff in between.
Yeah.
But if you skip over the stuff in between, then because sometimes I usually have to have really, really, really shitty days in order to have inspiration to do something new. Because then you would have no motivation to live because you wouldn't know that it was good if you didn't experience the bad.
This is interesting for philosophy because the notion of needing bad to understand good, it makes sense. But does the knowledge of bad suffice for actually experiencing the bad? So the Nazis, because that's a pretty good example of
Hopefully
something
everyone
horrible.
knows about it.
Yeah. So what happened was horrible.
Yes.
But none of us experienced it because we weren't alive.
Right.
But the knowledge of it, we can, if you're empathetic, you can go, well, yeah, that would have been horrible. So if you live a life that is only good things, perfect things, but you have knowledge of bad things, could that be good enough for you to appreciate the good? Or do you actually have to physically have that happen to you, the bad happen to you, for you to appreciate the good?
I think you appreciate it more.
Yeah.
I know people that have lived lives very differently than what I have. Like they've had all of their relatives are still alive. They lived in like the really nice upper class households and they always were given everything that they wanted. So they don't have a deeper appreciation for the good than what I would have.
So if there was some like experiment, right, where you were able to take a group of people and give them only the perfect life.
Yes.
But give them knowledge to bad things. Bad things that they never... How do you think they would turn out?
I don't think they turn out all that well.
Really?
I don't think so either.
Well,
You think you need to really feel it to understand the gravity of it?
I think so because I love history. I love history. And so I read about all these bad things that happen. And history's full of bad things. That's all history is, basically. It's bad stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Pretty much.
I mean, you pretty much read history.
You don't want to record like someone gave birth today. Hooray!
Yeah, you only,
like,
it seems like
Good for
history.
you.
It seems like history books are recorded with all their fails. But I mean, but the reason why that is so that you don't make those same mistakes.
Yes.
Which we're always prone to do.
Yeah. It
But-
doesn't work if that's the case.
But I think if you were only exposed to good stuff but knew about bad stuff, I don't think they'd care about the bad stuff, and I don't think that they would.
But I guess my question is, do you think that they would like the good? Because the argument is that without the bad, you won't actually know something.
I don't think
good.
they would like the good because it would be all they would know. They'd probably still find a way to bitch about the good.
No, this experiment, they don't do that. They don't bitch about it. They're not discontent.
Well, I'm saying I think they would.
Well, even if they would, but for the sake of this experiment, let's say they don't. Let's say
They're not allowed to.
yeah. Well, let's say they don't even have any inclination to do that because all they've experienced is good. so they can know about bad stuff, but it just never
I still
happens
think
to
if
them.
you went in and they've spent the best week of their life, they ate nothing but candy, chocolate, and they ate pizza every day, and they just had the best day, right? They watched TV and everything was great. And then you went in and you were like, hey, this place burned down. I still think they would be sort of like...
Was it my place? Okay.
Yeah. I still think they would be kind of... I don't think they would be like, oh, man, that's too bad. I think they'd be more like, okay.
Well, not
There'd be less empathy. There would be so much less empathy.
if everything was good.
there would be less empathy, but I guess what...
What do you think?
Yeah,
well,
what
this
do
is
you
your experiment. What do you think you get out of your
the
experiment?
question I'm trying to... I don't have the answer to is, would they like their good life?
Yeah.
Would they end up thinking...
yes. I think they would have... I think they would...
They like it, though, but they have never experienced anything bad, but they still appreciate the
I
good.
still... If they've never experienced anything bad, though, I don't think they have anything to
They have nothing to compare it to.
compare it to. So I
Yeah.
think they would wind up liking it because... Or maybe being indifferent to it. Maybe not liking it, because if they... The reason why you like something is because you know how bad it is.
The opposite.
That's the reason why you like something, because you know how bad something can be. So if you only had stuff that you liked,
Yeah.
you wouldn't actually like anything because you don't know that something is bad. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. That's
Whoa.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm substituting the bad thing happening with
It'd be like
just
if
the
I only
knowledge of
listen,
bad
if I
things
only
happening.
listen to rock and roll.
I feel like my brain's too sober.
Well, I'm asking a question that there really is no answer,
Answer to. Right.
If you only played rock and roll music to me,
Yeah.
and I was in a room for a week, and all I ever heard was rock and roll music, and they were like, "Do you like country? What's that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I like rock. I don't know what this other thing is. I think it would be the same thing to them. I'd be like,
But you like rock.
Do you remember Pleasantville?
But you just said you like rock.
Well, it's because that's all I've heard.
Right, but you, as opposed to being indifferent to rock, you've decided you like it.
Oh, I guess it's just music to me. I guess I don't like it or hate it because it's music. It's the only form there is.
So you feel nothing.
So I would feel nothing. I would be like,
Okay.
oh, that's music.
Okay.
That is music. Yeah.
That is music.
Yeah.
We put this on for, I don't know why, but it's music.
hmm
I don't know why we listen to it. It's just what it is.
So let's.
That's what I think it would be. You remember the movie Pleasantville?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's
yeah.
kind of like how they all were.
But let's take this into like an emotional area then.
Okay.
Okay.
Relationship. Let's say you've only ever experienced a good relationship.
Well, I never have.
Well, let's say you. let's say you have. Let's say
I don't even know what that's like.
Let's say everything worked out perfectly. You never
Never
cared
does.
about anybody but the one person, and they felt all the same way. You went through your whole life being happy with that. Do you appreciate them less because you don't notice like they have a bad one, or is the knowledge of what a bad relationship could be
Yeah, same
enough?
thing. Same
Yes.
thing. That person wouldn't matter anyway because you'd be like, I've always been around this person.
Wow.
But do you not think that it
think
would be
whenever-
deeper?
I
No.
think yes.
I disagree.
I think it could be because whenever you get to see the other bad relationships, just because you haven't had a bad relationship,
Are you saying you get to see the bad relationships?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
this is
saying.
not-
That's what I'm saying. In place of actually experiencing it, you just know of what it would be like, but you never experienced it.
yes,
Oh yeah. If you were with the same person
So
the
is the-
entire time.
because that's an indirect experience.
Right.
So then they're still technically
I
experiencing.
thought we were still in the
Yeah.
same room where nothing bad happened.
Oh no, we're not still in Pleasantville. We left.
No.
Truman found out.
Then indeed, then indeed, as Ari was saying, to further her point, is yes, if you were with the same person your entire life and you got to see all the crap relationships, y'all would be very, 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 very close.
See, that seems like that runs counter to what you would think previously, though. So basically, in this situation, you're saying the knowledge is
previously I didn't get to see
sufficient
anything
enough.
bad. I was in a room where they just play rock music constantly.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
You
what I
need
said
the bad to
before.
experience the good.
Yeah.
I think it's because it is still a bad, even though you're not in the exact relationship that is shitty. You can see and hear other people that you're close to
Yeah.
complaining about shitty things. So
Right.
you see how it impacts them, and because you have empathy, you feel like, or if sympathy, I guess for some people, would then
Yeah.
be enough to make them think, wow, that really sucks.
Yeah.
I'm
So
really
then-
glad I
I'm
don't
really
have
glad-
that.
So the knowledge
you're
of it-
experiencing
But-
that bad
Is a good
because you
substitute.
still have your good.
But this is saying that they never fight. Now, if they would have had one fight, then no, I guess it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
No,
Even though
we're
they
going
would've-
back into the room where nothing bad happened in this relationship.
No, I'm
We've
saying.
got a room.
No, I'm saying.
This could be an invention for you. Make a room where nothing
a-
bad happens.
Oh my gosh, that would be just.
Millennials would love it.
A safe room.
The safe room.
It would just be, oh my gosh, it would just be like
By the way,
those loony rooms with the pads wall.
before the show is over, please help me to remember to tell you of the thing I do want to build.
Okay.
Oh my god.
But anyway, but yeah, no. If you were in a relationship with someone and you were able to see something bad happen, but you also fought with one another, and even though you stayed together forever, then yeah, I don't know if you all would be as close, but I think you would have an understanding of that you have something a little better.
Okay, so then to strip away all of the details,
Adam and Eve spent their, according to the story, they spent their entire time together.
The beginning of their existence.
And you saw how that ended up. So.
Then they ate that
someone
apple.
interfered.
They saw all the bad, and they were like, "Oh shoot, we had it good."
Yeah.
But they didn't know that they had it good until they experienced it.
Yeah, but so to strip away all the details and get down to just the base question then.
Yes.
Is the knowledge of bad things an appropriate substitute for experiencing bad things?
It is a substitute.
Okay, so
Yes.
so it's subjective.
It is very. This is all subjective.
It depends. It's all case by case then. Mm-hmm. Okay, I agree. You don't?
Yeah.
You know, the thing is that
I love this though. I could not have been more happy that both of you disagree because this actually gets like the real debate going on.
It gets into it.
So, actually happy because you're both right.
Yes.
No one is really wrong, even if you disagree.
Right.
You know how people say, you know, I know this is a bad thing, but you gotta come out stronger on the other side.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times you don't. And,
You just come out broken.
And the shit continues to happen.
It's like the knowledge of, well, I mean, of course it's still going to happen, but like the knowledge of racism to some people who are not racist, then somehow, like sometimes you'll feel bad for someone who is of a different race, especially the ones that's being subjectified.
Yeah.
Because you know that there is bad that is happening. You don't have to experience racism yourself, but you still know that it's a bad thing.
Yeah, and then there's a lot who don't.
I know it's a bad thing, but I'll never.
The opposite happens, and that's usually there's a lot of people who don't experience it, therefore they think it's not
a problem.
Yeah, I think it could be one of those things where I know that racism is bad, obviously.
Yeah,
and I feel for the groups that go through it more because obviously I don't go through it that much because I'm a white guy.
Yeah,
but I feel for I can get to the point in my life where I can feel for those. But here's the thing, is I'll never understand it completely because I've never had to have one experience with it.
it's not about understanding it completely. It's just being able to sympathize.
I can sympathize, but I'll never be able to fully.
You won't feel what they feel.
I will never be able to feel what they feel or sympathize with them wholly or completely and empathize to where I can say the right things to them because I have no idea what that's like. I have no reference point for that.
Right.
Just like I read history about what happened to the Jews, and I sit there and I have gotten teary-eyed looking at pictures and reading stories of like I cannot believe this happened. Night made me cry, but at the same time I'll never wholly understand what that is like.
Oh yeah,
to be discriminated because of religion
and to be murdered for it.
Yeah.
And we'll never know what that's like, and I'll never understand it completely. I can sympathize, but again, to me, I know now, 2016, that doesn't happen to me. So
right.
I mean,
but the knowledge of it
is there, but it'll never be strong enough. I don't think I'll ever understand strong enough to where I will in my daily life stop when I'm having a bad day, like I've had this week, like I had yesterday, like I've had today, and go, it's not that bad because no one's throwing me in a furnace. Right. I'll never be able to understand. I'll never be able to understand that though. Like it'll always be a bad day. It shouldn't be a bad day when you think in terms like that. You should say, "Now that's a bad day."
Yeah, but, and there's different degrees. I don't think you need to. Any day where you aren't turned to a furnace, I don't think automatically becomes a great day.
No, but isn't that essentially what the bad? When you say,
"Oh my god,"
the bad mention, isn't that essentially what that is? Though it's saying that like. At this point in life, we should say, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about this today because it could always be a whole hell lot worse.
Yeah.
That's called getting stronger after the thing, but no one does that.
Now, those are people that just have privileges. People that have to compare their lives to something shitty. In order to feel like, well, I guess today was great because I'm not dying of starvation or I have clean water. I mean, that's just being thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
But you can feel bad for the people that don't have the food, that don't have clean water.
And I did the other day.
And then whenever you see somebody who has it, then you're like, I can empathize with you.
Yeah, and this is, and to a certain extent, this is sort of the heart of charity.
Yes.
This is what charity is sort of founded on.
Mm-hmm.
We can definitely go into how
you-
it's sort of lost its way in a lot of it. Yeah.
And also that Sarah McLachlan song.
Oh, God.
Did you see that the guy who worked for the Salvation Army rang the bell for 151 straight hours?
No.
Why?
6 days.
I would have punched him in the face. I
He
mean,
stood out there. He took. He didn't sleep for 6 days.
the purpose of that bell, wasn't it just whenever they first started to get people's attention, and now it's just part of their thing?
I don't know, but I've got a funny, albeit slightly fucked up story about that. That involved, I won't say who it is. I won't say who it is. I'm protecting someone.
Okay.
But I was with someone and we were walking in a mall and there was one of those people, but the bell was missing the little bell, but she had like the shell of the bell. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah.
The outside of the bell.
Was she going ding ding?
No, she wasn't doing that, but she was just like, saying whatever it was. And someone said, "Where's the bell?" And she said, "It's imaginary bell." And the guy I was with said, "Here's some imaginary money," and started pretending to, and then just walked away.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that story. That's funny.
That's so
I love
funny.
that. What's another philosophy
Yeah, let's go to the
question?
next
Free will. Do
Ooh.
we have free will?
Ooh.
Or
What do
is
you
it
think?
all
Okay,
planned out?
this is funny. I have heard, and I've never gotten a whole lot of clarity on this, but growing up in a Southern Baptist church, they will tell you that God already has a design for you, and He already knows what you're going to do, but you have free will to choose, but He knows what you're going to do.
That blows my mind.
And I'm like, you can't have both, right? Because you either have the set design that you're headed towards, or you have free choice, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
Because if you have free choice, when He already knows what you're going to do,
Yeah.
it's not free choice.
Yeah, there was
That's grand design.
well, one of my favorite people in the world was Christopher Hitchens, and he would debate people on this, and he would say that some people, religious people, would say, "Of course we have free will." The big guy said we do, and then he would say, "Of course we have free will. We have no choice in it." And he would say, "At least I know I'm being ironic when I say that, but the other people don't."
Dang.
I think that's the thing with free will to me is that I've never gotten clarity on that, but I've always heard my entire life, don't worry about a thing because God already has a plan for you. He knows what you're going to do, and He's got this great big plan for you.
But that's so baffling because then they say, well, suicide is a sin. Because if God had a thing, if He knew exactly what you were going to do, then He wouldn't let sin happen.
And that's what I actually used that one time, and then they said, well, you have free will. So you can't break, if there's a grand design, you can't also break from the design and go off on your own if He already knows that.
Yeah.
That's not free will.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I getting this wrong somewhere?
No. It's like this is a classic contradiction in theology.
Contradiction in theology? What are you doing? What is this you're talking about?
Sam Harris, he talked about this on a podcast a while ago, and it was super, super fascinating. He thinks that, and he's an atheist. I think he's also like a neurologist. I forget exactly what he does. He's not just like an atheist. He's a scientist.
Is it Brian Carson?
Ben Carson.
Ben Carson,
He's a surgeon. Big difference between being a neurosurgeon and a neuroscientist.
Yeah.
Massive difference. But his thing is very interesting. He says that we don't have it. The reason why we don't have it is because you don't get to choose your genes. You have no say in what genetic things you get.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry.
What are you
There's so
freaking out?
there's so many questions in here. I'm like, the fuck? Why doesn't glue stick to the bottle? What? Why doesn't Tarzan have a beard?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Tarzan have a beard?
The glue to the bottle is one that I always thought was funny.
How does water stay in styrofoam?
Whoa.
Paper cup.
Then one of them was, why is the sky blue? That's a scientific answer.
Yeah.
That's a reflection of the water right off of the...
If someone with a split personality threatens to commit suicide, is it a hostage situation?
I think they completely taken over. So the person is essentially non-existent at that point.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah,
sorry.
so what do you think about that? Because I think he actually has a really good point. I think it gets a little sticky here and there with what he's saying, but he's basically saying that you don't get to decide what your genes are, what your biology is. So
Yeah, because if I got to choose, I definitely wouldn't look like this.
but so there's
Get out of here.
so there's people who have a disposition to do reckless things.
Yeah.
That is medically, biologically, they cannot help themselves.
But is that God's plan?
Well, we'll forget about God. God's gone. We're not. God's not even involved.
God
in
is
this.
dead.
God's not even in this whole
Philosophy is its own
situation.
religion.
Well, predates it.
That's exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But so let's say you killed somebody
Okay.
and they
How do you know about that?
What?
Oh, actually, this is really. I forget what the guy's name was, but there was a guy who quite famously went and killed. He was at like the top of a watchtower back in the 50s.
Yes, I remember.
You know him.
Yeah, I remember.
And he killed like 14,
Yeah, a
15
bunch
people.
of people for the watchtower with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, and he killed his girlfriend and his mom. And at his home, they found a letter he wrote basically saying, something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to stop this, but I'm going to go do this. I'm almost certainly going to get killed in this situation. But when I'm dead, please do an autopsy and try to figure out what's wrong with my brain. So they did that. And sure enough, they found out that there was something very wrong with this guy's brain. Now, the question of free will is he was, to a certain extent, a slave to his biology. He did not have a say in what he was going to do. But where this gets sticky is then, if that's how we're going to think, then responsibility goes completely out the window, which it
does.
can't. It just can't. Responsibility cannot go out in a
Because
society.
society has to function off of responsibility.
Yeah, but he did not get to decide who his parents were. No one
Right.
does. He didn't get to decide what chemicals were inside of him. He didn't get to decide what issues he had, what deficiencies he had. None of that was any part of his choosing. So when he ended up doing all that stuff, was he using his free will?
He had the free will to check himself into an asylum
But
or to
did
go to
he?
a doctor.
Maybe.
No, he didn't.
See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe
Yeah.
he didn't. Whatever was wrong with him wouldn't allow him to go that far.
Maybe not.
That's interesting.
Maybe he was taken over by something. And next week we're talking about this similar situation.
It's not similar at all.
Well,
Speaking of brain chemicals, demons.
Demons. We're speaking about fact today, fantasy next week.
well, I'll tell you. What I mean by that is that obviously demons do not exist.
Right.
But
that some people think that he was taken
they've
over.
looked at brains from serial killers before, and they have seen that their brain patterns and they've studied brain patterns of
They
serial
fire
killers.
in a similar way.
Yeah,
Similar way. How do you say that word?
I think you could say
Similar?
either. I think similar.
Well,
Similar.
they have found
Similar,
that
I think, is probably
they have
the way I
found
would do
that
it.
Similar.
some
Similar ways. Crap.
they have found that there are differences.
What is pronunciation?
They have found
What
that
are words?
there are differences
What
between the
are?
two, where certain brains are given more of the aggressive
Yeah.
chemical often and whatnot. So, I mean, it goes back to kind of what Carl Pilkington was talking about that one time of like, who's in control of you? Is it the brain or is it you? You
Yeah.
know? Like, what does he say about the onion?
The onion, because so the story is he was writing down a list of things that he needed at the grocery store, and he had forgotten the onion. But right as he exited his house, there was a thought that said onion, and he says, "I did not remember the onion. Something remembered the onion for me."
Wow.
And he was like,
Wow.
my brain remembered the onion. I had forgot the onion, but the brain told me, wait, the onion. And they were like trying to convince him, like, Carl, you are your brain. There aren't two separate things going
Onion.
on.
So
An
if
angel
he,
came down and said onion.
Onion.
So if he,
Yeah.
Thank you.
so if he is his brain,
You are your brain.
yes, if you are your brain, which you are,
Yeah.
then it baffles me about the guy with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
You know,
something went biologically wrong with him.
Clearly, he had some kind of disorder.
Without
Right.
a doubt.
Without a doubt, he had some. And I think most people who do those kinds of things, you'll find that there's something about them that is different.
Yeah.
Um,
But people don't like this explanation, because a lot of people then take that as to say, well, these people aren't bad. They're just sick. And I
Yeah.
think there's a distinction. I don't think you can say that people who do bad things aren't bad.
Yeah,
They're
they can
just
be a sick, bad person.
Exactly. I think you can be both.
Yeah.
Because I don't know this.
Dylan Roof.
Because their overall action is a bad action.
Yeah.
Their
Dylan
motive may be different.
Yeah.
Dylan Roof. I've been following this week.
Is that the guy from South Carolina?
It is. It's the guy. For those of you who don't know, listening, there was the guy from South Carolina, the white guy who went into the church prayer group, the black church, shot everyone in there.
Prayed with them.
Prayed
that was the creepy
for
part.
an
He
hour.
went and talked to them and prayed with them for an hour, and then basically was like, well, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to kill you now.
Yeah.
And then took out his gun.
Killed them all.
He's a big neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
So
big neo-Nazi.
anyway, if you follow that story, there's a story of someone who clearly has some type of problem. He is not normal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think even though you can say that this guy isn't normal, he's probably got issues. He's got mental issues. At the same time, we cannot say, well, he might not be all that bad. He's just sick.
Yeah.
We have to punish this guy.
When you say someone's sick, there's this implied that they're also kind of a victim in this whole thing.
Yes.
And they're not.
I don't think he's a victim.
But
He's no victim.
Well, here's the interesting though. The guy who in the Watchtower who did that, it'd be interesting to know if anything inspired him to do that, or if it was solely his mind.
Yeah.
Because this kid obviously has something wrong with him, maybe.
He was
but we
inspired,
don't know.
though.
But he was inspired by, like you said, neo-Nazis. He was inspired by all this
Yes.
other thing. So that, I think, really, a massive amount of responsibility goes on him for being inspired. The guy in the Watchtower may not have been inspired at all. Something might have just triggered in him and he couldn't stop himself. Dylan Roof very well could have stopped himself, but was inspired to do this because he agreed with the philosophies that are espoused by these, right-wing groups.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been driving, like you just take the same path and you're maybe going on a long stretch of road and then you get to your destination and you don't remember how you got there?
Yeah.
It could be that he was in that Watchtower with that mentality,
Yeah.
not really knowing what he was like on autopilot or something, because some people that do have incorrect chemical firings in the brain sometimes don't realize what's happening. Just like a dissociative identity disorder, or just like whenever you disassociate with yourself. Sometimes people feel like they're watching themselves.
Yeah, and that guy in the Watchtower, obviously he got killed, so nobody knows what he could say. But it very well could have been. And I'm not trying to defend him because what he did was beyond
terrible.
disgusting.
Yeah.
And he could be just a piece of shit. But clearly, he has something wrong with him. But for all anyone knows, the entire time he could have been wishing that he wasn't doing it, but could not stop himself. Dylan Roof seems like he was pretty content with what he was doing.
He still seems content.
During the trial, he's not. He's been looking at the table the entire time.
Really?
He's not been listening to. Today they had to stop the court so this one woman who was there could compose herself. The judge took a recess, but they said the entire time he just stared at the table.
Yeah. Well, you know who was really weird was the dude from Aurora who did the theater shooting.
Yes, he thought he was the Joker.
Yeah, I guess he went dressed up sort of like that. But he seemed really crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was his defense, that he was insane. I don't think it worked. And the reason why it didn't work was because even though he did a great impression of a crazy guy.
Yeah.
His big wide eyes, saying weird things, growing that giant beard in prison, But when they were interviewing him, the fact that he left showed that he knew he had done something wrong. He went to the midnight showing, and it turned out that in one of the interviews he said that he didn't want to kill kids, so he went to a later showing because he thought, well, if some kids are there, they'll just have to get killed, whatever. But I don't want to just go kill kids, so I'm going to go to a later one where there would be less kids. That level of clarity proves without a doubt that he knew exactly what he was doing.
He has a level of morality about him.
In a weird
He had
way.
a code. He wasn't going to kill kids.
Well, he wasn't going to specifically aim for kids, but he said that because I think a kid got either injured or killed in that.
Yeah.
And he basically said, well, I wasn't going to target kids, but if a kid got killed, a kid got killed. So he has some
But very,
semblance
very
of that.
low.
Yeah.
Very low.
Very low, because in the same sentence he goes, well, I didn't want to kill kids, but if one
But I mean,
got
if they're
killed,
in the way, then they're in the way.
Yeah,
Like, that's still fucked up.
So if a guy like him, I think his name was James Holmes, who looked insane in every way you could think.
Yes.
If he couldn't do it, I don't see what Dylan Roof's defense is, that he's crazy?
No.
Okay, he just wanted to do it.
He's actually he's defending himself.
Yeah, but he hasn't entered into any kind of plea.
No.
He's not doing it, like...
No, basically, this is all to see, like, if they're going to give him the death penalty or not.
Damn.
What do you think about the death penalty? That's another philosophical
Now,
question.
is that a free will thing?
Well,
definitely not.
Because is it in a plan to know that you're going to go get the death penalty? Is that we are taking life into our own
Hey, well,
hands?
that's saying that, like, you're born.
Or were they meant to die by the electric
Well, that's
chair?
saying that, like, God created Dylan Roof to go into a black church and kill them all.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I mean...
it's a grand design.
But what if that was the free will of his own choice? Like,
But you
what
see,
if
if
that was-
God... Well,
But you guys are
the original
putting
question-
free will really close to God, and I'm not
But
putting
no,
it anywhere
the
near
ori-
God.
You've been keeping it super separate.
No,
Yeah.
the original question was free will versus religion, right? Wasn't that the original
No, just
question?
free will versus having free will versus not having free will.
I remember I've had a lot of arguments before with people who are religious in nature.
And since I was raised religious, that's like my number one background.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
This is all I know. I don't know how to debate free will without it, because the only way to have anything other than free will is if there's some kind of being controlling things.
Yes.
I don't see how you can have just... Because if you don't have a being controlling things, and of course you have free will to do whatever.
But that was why I brought up the whole thing about the biology.
Oh,
That's something
on a
dictating whether you
biology.
have it.
Oh, okay. Biological level. That is just it's all part of the just draw straws. Really, it turns out how you did. I turned out looking like this.
I turned out looking like this.
It's not so
I'm
much
like, there we
looks, though.
go.
We're talking about just like physiology, like how your
mental illness or like sicknesses or
your brain, not so much your body.
Well, I guess it's not perfect, but
Your brain.
yeah, I'm thinking about that now.
But that
crazy that the brain, like someone said, the brain named itself.
yeah.
I was like, what?
That's another thing Carl talked about, where he doesn't like things that look like brains. He doesn't like walnuts. And he was like, it's because my brain doesn't feel comfortable eating something that looks like a brain.
Do you want to switch to conspiracy theory?
Conspiracies, yes.
Did you
All
want
these questions
to
are dumb.
go over the death penalty though?
Oh, death penalty.
Yeah.
Yes, before we go into death penalty, I do believe that there are certain people in this world who
Deserve the
death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am for the death penalty. I think that there are certain crimes that you commit in this world that the ultimate price should be that you no longer get to be here.
Who decides that though?
The government, I reckon.
And you think it's good to give the government that kind of power to decide who gets to live and die?
Well, that's why they have to go through the justice system first.
But that's still part of the government.
And all justices are brought by the government. So this is opening up. I mean, I guess what you're trying to say is who judges who, and the government should judge, but there should be, that's why they have to have the lawyers in the courts and things, so the government can't just be like, well, we're going to kill it. By the time, listen, no one gets found guilty and then goes to the death penalty. That is a long process. By the time you get to the death penalty, I mean, like...
You're pretty much dead anyway.
Yeah, and that's a long process. So, I mean, and that's why it is so long, because you don't want... Used to, there was a problem.
Yeah.
You know, you go into the courthouse, they guilty, you go out the back of the courthouse, they hang you right out
Guillotine
there.
and shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
There's the reason why they kind of do away with that. Plus, you know, that you have to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can keep appealing and trying to find new evidence to try to get you off this death penalty.
But ultimately, it's the government's decision if they want to do that. And people who... And this is what I find really strange.
I believe it should be, because who else could make that call?
Well, that's the thing. Should anyone be able to make that call?
Yes. There are certain people when you commit crimes that someone has to be able to say or do to get justice. This guy no longer gets to live. He gave up his right to live when he did this. Fuck that guy.
But did he, though? I mean,
What
he
if
did
it was a
something.
mental thing?
He did something. Exactly. He did something horrible. No one's denying.
So we
that.
want to keep crazy people around?
But the point isn't whether it would be what we want. The point is it not dangerous to give a government or any body of power that kind of power to say you can decide if someone's going to be alive or dead?
Rather than just locking them up until they die naturally.
Yeah.
No, but then we have to pay for them to live.
Or we pay for shit we don't like all the time.
We pay for the death penalty, don't we?
Yeah. And we pay, and the amount that the drugs take, because Europe was where we were getting the majority of our drugs to kill people, and they don't do it anymore, and they cut us off, and so the price of the drugs is skyrocketed.
Do you think?
So it's economic.
That's why we don't do it much anymore at all.
Do you think? I'm about to say, no one gets executed hardly in this country anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you think that people would maybe not do those kinds of crimes if you got? Say you got sentenced, say we still did that, where, you know, you get sentenced your crime, they march you outside the courthouse, and they shoot you, hang you, cut your head off, whatever. They do it that day, and it happens instantly. Do you think people would commit as many crimes today if they knew that?
They may not, but the other side of that becomes problematic is if you know that's going to happen, then it's well within reason that you're going to be more willing to do worse things.
Yeah, because you know that you're instantly going to die, and you're not going to have to. You won't have time to regret what you did.
Yeah.
That is one nice thing about it. The reason why it does take so long is they've got years to sit around and think about it.
Yeah. The thing that's confused me is the fact that in this, obviously people on both sides are for or against it, but by and large, conservatives seem to be for the death penalty.
Yeah, more so.
They also seem to be pro-life, which is a contradiction.
They'll
and they
kill the people that are alive, save the babies that aren't.
And they're also less government as possible, which again, a smaller government, but the one that can decide who lives and dies.
So what about me who doesn't mind a big government? I think abortion should be allowed, and I believe in the death penalty. What does that say about me?
Well, I mean,
it says you're a Democrat.
I was gonna say you can. And here's the thing: I'm fighting you guys a little bit on it, but I don't disagree with you.
Right,
I think that.
I think what you're worried about, you're worried about a government having the power to say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I also think I'm for the death penalty, but in very, very specific situations. I think depraved acts, without a doubt, because you can't rehabilitate, and there's no point even punishing with life in prison.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about the Cheshire Murders? Two guys did a home invasion, and they ended up they saw a mother and her young daughter at a grocery store, and they followed her because they looked wealthy. And the dad was like watching TV on a couch, and they cracked his head open with a baseball bat and then tied him up. And then they went and tied up the two daughters and the mother, and then had the mother drive them to a bank to get like $10,000. And then while they were gone, one of them started like molesting the like 7-year-old girl who this guy already had like a history of pedophilic behavior.
Ew.
And then the other guy, one of them encouraged the other guy to strangle the mom and killed the mom, and then he encouraged him to rape the mom, and then they set the whole house on fire and killed the mom and the two daughters, but the husband woke up and was able to crawl out of the house. So these people, they're not just murderers. What they did, I thought, was beyond depraved.
That's
and
disgusting.
I'm completely fine with these two guys getting killed.
Yeah.
They both did get the death penalty, but then the death penalty was reversed, and now they're just for life.
Yeah.
The concept of punishing them for life, it sounds good to some people. Like, yeah, let's keep them alive and just have them locked up. See, same here. And I actually feel more for the husband.
Because he has to live.
I feel like he deserves to live in a world where these two things don't.
Yes.
And for that reason, and for why it's so depraved, I think without a doubt, these people, I have no problem with people getting killed. Now, a guy who's like, say, in a gang and shoots someone and kills someone, that's horrible. I don't defend that, but I don't really see the need to kill him.
No.
I think it's fine keeping him in prison forever.
Because that's the world that he lives in.
Yeah.
The world that he lives in is, and probably if he didn't kill that person, he then would get killed. So, like, the thought of someone dying over you, it's just like, well, I don't really know them, so it's fine.
Yeah, and the hard part is obviously it's not happened to me. I haven't had people I care about get murdered. And if you did, without a doubt, if you did, I can understand why that would be. But I also am for like terrorists being killed.
Yeah.
Because that, again, when circumstances lead someone to be a criminal and they kill someone, that's something that I think is acceptable to punish with prison. But when someone has like an ideology that overrides everything and thinks that they're justifying what they're doing, or is so depraved that they don't care, those are people that I think should be killed. Because one, you can't rehabilitate someone like that, and two, I think the punishment for the victims, I feel like it would be better to have them live in a world without these people.
Yeah. Just like because you're talking about rehabilitation with gang members, because it's not a religion, it's just where they live, it's who they associate with. You could remove them from that situation, put them somewhere else, rehabilitate them that way.
There's a lot who have been
with beliefs. It takes so much more to change someone's beliefs.
And sometimes
they can lie.
Yeah, exactly.
They can lie and say, "Oh, I don't believe in that anymore,"
right.
and then
go
like,
out and do something.
Yeah, here I go.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, let's live in a place where it is known if you commit murder, you will be killed.
But then that goes back to, do you not think that then could inspire people to do more carnage? If I kill one person and I go, well, if I get caught, I'm getting killed anyway, so let me kill all these other people who saw me do that, because it doesn't matter. It's not gonna count more against me because I'm already dead for the one. But if I kill one person and think, well, maybe I can explain this,
I'm only going to kill you a little bit.
I'm just gonna stop. I mean, the thing, like with the room that's perfect, it goes both ways.
Yes.
There's a defense for having the death penalty that I think is valid to a certain extent, and I think there's a defense for not having that. I think it's valid.
North Carolina have it?
I don't know
if we do or not.
It seems like you guys would.
I think Texas does.
It seems like we would. Well, yeah.
I think Texas does. I don't.
Actually,
I'm not sure if North Carolina does.
I think it seems like there's less states that have it.
Yeah, I don't think there are as many.
Yeah.
But there is a big push in certain groups to get it.
Yeah. Wow.
Conspiracy theories.
One other question that I read: did Adam and Eve have navels? Which is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Since they were just created, they weren't birthed.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then people were like, well, in the depictions of art, they have navels. I'm like, yes, but that was during the Renaissance time, whenever they thought that God looked human, so they tried to make religion more like, hey, look, he's like us. It's cool.
Well, also, Adam would have one less rib.
That's true. Would you see the scar?
You'd be a messed up.
She's a rib woman, eh?
Yeah.
Of course, she wouldn't have.
She
She wouldn't have a navel. She's a rib lady.
She's a rib lady.
Women are ribs.
So I heard about. Someone was telling me the other day about this thing that NASA has known about, but will not tell anyone about. If they know, it's called Planet X.
Planet X.
Apparently, there is a ninth planet that is on the outskirts of the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a giant ice ball because, it's past Pluto, so that naturally would be.
Yeah.
So one of the theories behind Earth becoming a thing is that something collided with another thing and that rock broke off and became Earth, and that's how it got here. This is the thing that collided with it, this giant ice ball. Mm-hmm. And it's in this weird orbital rotation to where it kind of comes around a long time, so it comes out. But now there's a theory, scientific theory, that it is coming around again, and it's getting closer. It's about to make a close pass. Now, this person was saying that could be the reason why all of the tsunamis and all the stuff that's been happening has been happening. And what's eventually going to happen, and they said that every time it makes a pass, something bad happens. They said Noah's flood. They said the dinosaurs all dying off. Mm-hmm. There's always a catastrophe. Why? Because every time this ice giant planet comes through, it alters the gravitational pull because it gets so close. It messes up with everything and it causes mass destruction.
Do they know that
as it passes by? Well, they're saying that it's happened before when this planet has come around, that there's all these end of the world type things that have happened where they say that Noah's flood was one of them, which you would have to believe in that to start with, that the world did flood, which I don't necessarily think it did. Yeah. And then the dinosaurs getting killed off, which we know did happen. Something killed them all.
We've done this before. We've talked about Noah and his flood.
Yes.
And how that's how animals still exist, because he saved 2 of everyone.
Yeah.
Did he save birds, or did he not need to?
I guess he didn't, because they could just fly the whole time.
But did he not have someone on his boat?
Hey, man.
Did he save fish?
Hey, they built that.
Did he save freshwater fish?
Hey, he saved.
Where did all the water go?
There's an arc that this Australian guy, the guy that Bill Nye debated that one time, he has built a life-size replica ark.
Yeah.
And there are dinosaurs on board.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You sound surprised.
I was very surprised. I mean, that was something I did not know. I did not know that dinosaurs were on the ark. That was something new for me.
Yeah. That's new.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite race car driver went to it and he tweeted a picture of him and his family out in front of the ark, and I actually tweeted him back, and I said, "Isn't that the place where the dinosaurs are on board?" Because he was.
How did the animals? How were they fed?
For 7 days. That's why the boat was so big.
No, not 7 days. It was 40.
It was 40.
Shit, I'm sorry.
But what did
brain?
What did the?
It wasn't a week.
What did the lions eat?
They ate his kids.
The other one. Other animals.
So he must have had more than just two.
God made all the animals get along. But he told them the circumstance.
They might get along, but getting along doesn't fill your belly.
That's true. That's true.
The whole bottom half of the ship was a cafeteria.
It was cafeteria.
This is catering.
Catering. He had a catering crew.
It was like being on a film set. Like everyone just breaks during the day. They go downstairs and they're like, "Oh yeah." So then they have the conversation. And they go back up and continue being on a boat.
Where would the water have gone though?
It turned into the rainbow. Don't you know?
Oh yeah, the rainbow.
The water just evaporated.
It can't. It can't. If there's enough water to flood the entire Earth where you can't see any of the landmass, then it wouldn't be able to evaporate. If that much could evaporate, then we wouldn't have any water anyways, because the oceans would be able to evaporate.
The water level decreased.
The water level decreased.
All right, so here's what happened.
God got a huge straw, okay,
and he just
slurped away
the water
until there was some land.
Hey, so what he did is that he heated up the Earth, and it caused all the ice caps to melt.
Oh, the world was like a huge hot tub?
Yeah, so it rose the water level.
Yeah.
Once he was satisfied, it got cold again, and it refroze that water, so the water level decreased because it turned into icebergs again.
And what chapter was this?
This was
Leviticus.
This was in Genesis.
Oh, it was in Genesis? Okay. Yeah. That's been documented?
Yeah.
That's been written down?
Yeah, certainly.
And that's how the ozone layer was created.
Yeah. That's how I like how you did that. And that's how the ozone layer was created. Very matter of fact.
Yep. That's
how it happened.
And also that just means that all species are just inbreds of one another.
Do you think this? Do you think it was more of a
just like, okay, my question with the Bible, Adam and Eve, right? Mm-hmm. So they chilling. They create 2 kids. They're both sons.
Yeah. Where'd the other girls come? Well, that
means Cain or Abel got it on with Eve.
Yeah.
Mama.
Or if they had 2 more daughters, then wouldn't they have to fuck their siblings?
Yeah.
They'd always have to.
They'd always have to. So are we all just not inbreds if we go by the Bible's beliefs?
Well, you would have to be, but it wouldn't. Even if that were possible, we wouldn't get here. You cannot inbreed and have that many generations. After like 4 or 5, you start getting ones with like their heads on upside down, and like they get a nosebleed and they die. Like that's why the royal family had to stop inbreeding. Yeah, it's because all of the royals were dying well before the age of reproduction, because you get hemophilia, you get all kinds of diseases. It's impossible for even let's even take their timeline of it being 6,000 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You would not be able to inbreed for 6,000 years.
And make this many people?
No, not possible.
No.
I'm thinking maybe a couple hundred, maybe a couple different generations. It would not go beyond that.
That's what I'm assuming there was whenever he created everything. Mm-hmm. Like if you're using the Bible exactly as a thing, they did have the Garden of Eden, mm-hmm. but then there was also other stuff in the world that was still bad. There were other people in the world, but he just created the 2 perfect people. Oh, so
you're saying that there may have been other humans, but
I got to assume that there's got to be other people, mm-hmm. because how else would the genetics go down like you're talking about?
So then, were the other women also created via rib?
I don't know.
Someone's ribless. Someone's just a sack of meat.
Isn't it? Don't men actually just have one less rib?
I don't think so.
I think. Really? Oh, I gotta look it up.
Everybody's got the same.
I think that. I gotta look it up before I dig myself in a hole here. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Well, while she's looking that bit up, let me go back to this. The flood.
Oh.
Someone told me one time that maybe it was possibly just localized to his area.
Could be. It also could just be a story. And a lot of... Well, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that to be like that. But a lot of religions from that time share a flood
Sure.
story.
They're sitting around the fire talking about,
So it's not surprising that it would. There isn't.
I was wrong.
Of course, everybody's built the same, basically.
Men and women have 12 pairs of ribs. A few individuals have 13 or 11 pairs. But everyone has the same amount. I was taught wrong. Of course, I did have a
You
really...
went to Catholic.
I had a few very bad science teachers.
Can't
That
have
didn't
science
really-
in a Christian school.
Because I had one teacher, her name was Mrs. Kelly. I think she most likely has been deceased since I left that school in middle school. But she was actually removed whenever I was in 7th grade. She would teach about how men actually had one less rib than the women
Science.
Well,
did. And then she
actually-
would test us on volcanoes without teaching us about volcanoes. She was great.
Going back to Christopher Hitchens, he had a great story about how when he was like 9 was when he kind of really was like, okay, this is nonsense. None of this is real. And he said he was in school and he had a teacher, I think her name was like Miss Watts, and she told him and the rest of the class that the reason why vegetation is green is because it is more restful to our eyes. That God specifically made it green so that it would appeal to us. And he said that at 9 years old he went, Mrs. Watts, this is nonsense. He goes, do you know nothing of chlorophyll?
Yeah, that's
Do you
what
know
I'm saying,
nothing of
chlorophyll.
science?
I almost said chloroform. I knew that.
You know nothing of chloroform.
Do you know nothing of chloroform? Let
Do
me
you
show
know nothing?
you.
So I told you there's something I wanted to build. Let me end and get down to the end of the show.
Are we not going to talk about something from nothing?
Oh, something from nothing.
Man, we keep getting all off in the things
We can
already.
say how long is it?
Sorry, well, we got some time.
Okay.
It's an hour and 10.
Okay. I mean, we can wrap it up if you want. It's up to you.
Do you want to save something for nothing for another next week when Aaron's here?
Like
Sure.
tree demons.
Yeah, we can bring that in.
We can, yeah. Because, I mean, it is technically, I mean, it doesn't have to be religious, but obviously a religious person would disagree with what I'm going to say.
Well, then
Oh, good.
Let's wait
Yeah.
then.
I don't know if he will. He seems very intelligent. Like, honestly,
He's super intelligent.
He's very
Well,
smart.
let's see. We'll have 4 people on that one, so
Yeah.
we'll be able to have a really good discussion on that.
Yeah.
But I do want to build something. I don't know why I want to build this, but I want to build.
You compelled, like Noah was.
I want to build a pod that
Okay, you can fit 2 of...
All right, listen.
Oh,
I want to take
In case
some
Planet X
kind
comes
of.
around.
I saw something similar, and I want to do something similar. But I saw, and I was thinking, I like exercise,
Mhm.
and I like running to the store. But it would be cool if I had like a bicycle because that would be a really nice ride. But at the same time, I thought, it would be even cooler because bicycle would get tricky sometimes of having to carry the stuff back, and I don't want a basket because that's nerdy and I'm already single. So I thought, that wouldn't be
hey,
good.
then you got a basket to carry the chicks in.
Yeah.
Wait.
Or maybe this pod. Does this pod have a female compartment?
Yes.
Pod just like expels testosterone.
I want to take a bicycle type frame, but one of those bicycles that like you kind of like sit down on and it's like it lays out. I forget what those are called. They're not like
you're like way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's not like when you pedal and you're just like
Yeah,
chilling.
laying down.
you're chilling. I want to get one of those, and I want to put build a pod over top of it so it's enclosed. Have a little window that you see out of,
So you want a car?
and a little compartment, but it's a bike. And
You want
it's
So you want like a motorcycle?
you want like a Flintstones thing where you have to power it with your own feet.
yeah, I want a
Yabba-dabba-doo.
Flintstone thing, but you're inside. You're protected. You would get inside the thing, and it would have a
Have a dabba nah.
it would have a roll cage,
Uh-huh.
and it's got a little plexiglass window. That
You
see
said you don't want a basket because you're worried about looking nerdy.
And you want a pod?
You want a pod with a roll cage?
Pod.
Roll?
but it would have
Yabba-dabba pod.
inside. You could put a little fan. You could put a little fan on the inside that blows cool
So like
air.
an AC in a
it'd be
car.
awesome.
Okay.
Is the fan like pedal powered?
Yeah, as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
It's solar powered.
as you pedal, it activates the fan too, so that you're saving energy that way.
So if you're just like really hot and at a stoplight, you have to just deal with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
Or
Like-
maybe
like
you
there's a-
generate and then it kind of goes for like
It kind of goes
a
for
good
a little
minute.
bit, yeah. It's
Okay.
still spinning, but I would want compartments in the thing. You could keep all your stuff. Like if you go to the store, you'd have a place to put your stuff, and
Yeah.
maybe you could even have like a seat next to it. Where that person doesn't have to necessarily pedal, but they could chill,
Mm-hmm.
and and they just stay in the pod. And if it rains and you're trying to bike, you can still bike in the rain because you're not getting wet because you're in the pod. It's got little windshield wipers that can clear the plexiglass.
You basically want like a car that you control via for the sake of exercise.
Yeah,
I can understand.
That's fun, right?
I guess, but let me just ask the obvious question: why can't you just exercise and then get in your car and go do this and then come back home and exercise?
Because I'd be able to ride this thing anywhere I wanted to go.
As you can the vehicle.
Yeah, but I'd be exercising.
Which you can do when you're not driving.
But I would be doing that. I'd be doing both at the same time.
This coming from the man who complained like last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever I went to the grocery store and parked far away, and you're like, why do I have to walk to the door?
I always park really far away.
You would get that vehicle. You would complain about, oh, I gotta walk. I'm so tired. I don't want to power my car. You would get into your vehicle and then drive there anyway.
I would still have a car.
You know what would be cool? You know what would be cool is if you have your little pod and I'm imagining it's kind of bulky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you park far away and you don't want to walk. And the bicycle part like disconnects from the bulk of it. So basically you have like almost like a little trailer.
Yeah.
That you get out of it and then you go drive. You can just drive it through the aisles.
Dude, you can have
so small.
2 pods. You can have the
backup pod.
You can have the pod that
his and her pod.
His and her pod. And then you can have 2 pods. Listen, you have the pod that you're in that's
2
driving.
pods.
And then if you get tired...
You can call this invention 2 peas in a pod.
That's adorable.
There we go.
So you have the pod that you have the pod that you're in, right?
Yeah.
And you're tugging behind you a separate pod.
You have to tug it?
Well, that sounds like more energy.
If you had 2 pods, you'd have to tug the other one.
Would you make one handicapped accessible?
Why would the second pod not just work the way the first? No. Screw them. Well, if you're handicapped, I guess presumably you wouldn't be able to even work a pod.
That's why I was like, no.
Make a hand-powered pod.
What if you have like a treadmill?
Okay.
A brain-powered pod.
Like a treadmill, you can just wheel along with it?
You mean a wheelchair?
No, instead of the pedaling.
A treadmill.
A treadmill.
You wouldn't be able to control the speed.
Wait, you'd have to stand up and run?
Yeah.
And it would cause the wheels to go?
Yeah, so like they take off the bottom part, and you know the part that moves the motor, or like that moves whenever you're walking, you just attach a wheel circulation to that.
I don't know.
And you know how you can power the...
I've thought a lot about this.
That's dangerous because people fall off of treadmills when they're stationary. I don't want to see them on a freeway.
The whole thing is only going to be about yay big.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
But okay, we'll get back to the second pod. Why would the second pod not just work the way the first pod worked?
Here's the way I want. If you had a second pod, if you got tired, you pull over outside. You've got a chill pod back there. You get a little bed in there or something like a little you just chill in that pod, man.
Okay. So it's different though. It's not.
You can take the thing camping and.
But is the chill pod?
They have a pod like that now.
Is the chill pod like an exact replica of the original pod, or is it just like a smaller condensed pod?
It could be the same pod.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Why not you just have every pod have like the ability to hitch onto a different pod?
Whoa!
Rather than
you could have a pod train.
Yeah, training pods. Little pods next to you.
Yeah, but how if you had a pod hooked up to the back pod and they're pedaling, if they pedal slightly faster, they're gonna run into you.
But the point of the chill pod is you're tired, so just hook up that and don't pedal.
Yeah, but you have no place to lay down in because the
pod itself is kind of like I thought it was going to be one of those lay down type things.
It is, but this back pod is a flat surface with like a soft bed in it.
Well, have like reversible things. Like the thing that you sit on, you can just flip it and have it like lay down flatter.
Okay.
And then every pod can also be a chill pod.
I like it.
As opposed to being like, well, we'll give you the pod, we'll throw in the chill pod for like 20% off.
Nice.
I want to create this.
Yeah.
I want to build this.
I bet it's been made. I bet something's been made.
Well, I saw this something sort of like it. The only difference was that there was a bed on top and someone pedaled while you sat up on top comfortably.
Mm.
And you had a little thing that you tell them where you wanted to go. And there's some guy there's some guy down below who was pedaling. Yeah, he would be like, back up, please. And then he would pedal backwards and it would back up. But like there was a guy. They were right. Yeah.
I missed my turn, damn it.
Sorry.
But yeah, there was like a little cone that he could talk to the guy inside the pod while he sat up in a nice comfy chair. He would just be there.
I don't like that as much as your pod idea.
Yeah.
I think your pod idea is far superior to that.
Thank you.
I don't know if the pod idea is a practical thing.
It's definitely not.
Not at all.
But I think it's something that's totally awesome.
Yeah, I think you could. I think you could probably make this. Is it so? Is the pod open? And it just has a roof, or is it like
It's completely closed.
Oh, okay.
You have to have windows.
So it's not like see through.
No.
It's okay.
So you'll have a bit of
So you have
privacy.
doors.
Yes, you
have
has
a
one.
seatbelt?
You has one door that you get in and out of. It will have a seatbelt.
Does it have an airbag?
No,
This is like the kind of thing that would need that more.
it's a bicycle.
It's not handicap accessible. It has no safety.
But this
It has a roll cage.
But this presumably
roll
is going
cage.
right in line though with cars. It's not like a bike that goes off to the side. This is going to be in the lane, keeping up with the cars.
I
How could it?
have an image in my head of it going down.
Good question.
No, I have an image in my head. And
Would you have
it
a
makes
pod
me-
lane, like a bike lane?
It makes me laugh every time I think about it. Of
Someone stuck behind a pod.
the sidewalk out here
Damn
to
pod
the
becomes
sidewalk
like a
out here
slur.
at Walmart. There is
This
a
boy's a
white pod. There is a white pod just going down the sidewalk.
Oh, my pod.
And everyone's having to move out of the way for it. Like, actual bicyclists would have to move. But, like, no, you would just be going along on the sidewalk, or through a parking lot. Like,
Parking lot.
wherever you wanted to go.
I like that. This is confined to sidewalks and parking lots.
I wish I had.
How do you get there, though, is what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
How do you get to the parking lot if you have to drive? So anywhere you need to go with your pod, you have to be sure that your route
You would
has
drive it just like any normal bicycle. The only difference is you're enclosed
but
completely.
it's going to be way wider than a bicycle.
Oh, yeah. Wait, see if having something to draw this thing on. I
You
want to show you what this.
post the picture on there.
Hit the pod.
I don't even have something to draw with.
I do. You need a pen?
Yeah.
Look at me. There you go.
All right. So let me show you what this pod thing would look like.
Okay.
So basically, what you have is you have something like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's the front wheel. There's the back wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And you're inside here pedaling the thing, and there's a window here and there's a window here and like a window on the side so she can get a glimpse
This is like
out.
the best drawing I've ever seen.
But this is the pod, you see. So you're just inside here, and your little fan that we talked about is right here.
Does that guy only have one leg? Poor
He's
man.
sitting down.
Both are
Both
there.
are equal.
Yeah.
But you're inside and you're pedaling along, and
Yeah.
that's the pod. But that's what it would look like.
But that's going to be around
So
the
you
size.
want it to look like a dome?
That's
Yeah,
gonna,
it's a dome.
but that's going to be about the width of a car.
Yeah.
How is that going to stick on the sidewalk or in the bike lane?
It's gonna be totally awesome.
It's going to be horrible.
It's gonna be so great.
You should get like
Oh man.
design. So have you seen?
Yeah, that's kind of like what it would look like.
have you guys seen the? There's like
That's exactly what I wanted to look like.
So you want it to be a car.
No, I want it to be
it makes up like
a car that you control.
So is it like a
human
bicycle?
powered.
It is a bicycle.
So you want it to look like a bike?
He basically wants to put a bicycle in the shell of a car,
Okay.
and somehow
That's basically it.
this fits on the sidewalk.
But it's not gonna be as wide as a damn car.
So how
It's
do you
gonna
get
be-
in it?
It might not be
I
as
would say it'd be
wide.
two-
Well, it'll probably
two-
have like a door. Right
I would
here.
say
You want
it'd
it to
be
have
2
a
to
door?
3 feet on either side.
So you want it to be like a car?
So it'd be like 2-3 feet on either side of the bike.
There's this right here. That's not gonna work.
Will you
on
have
a
windows out of the
sidewalk.
side door? I think you would.
Yes,
like a
you
car?
would. Yeah, you would.
Do you have to get a license plate?
Oh, like a car? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a car. Of course. You do.
No, it's not a car.
It's a car. But
It's
instead
a
of a pedal,
bicycle.
you push it.
Yeah.
Instead of one pedal, you get two
We've
pedals.
completely revolutionized the pedal.
It's a car. No, it's not a car.
Is there a back door?
No,
For the passenger to get in the side?
no.
You gotta have a little like hook to hitch.
Oh, yeah, you need your little hook to hitch in the front,
chill
too.
pod. Have you
Just in case if you want to hitch to another pod.
Have you guys seen in areas where there's like heavy turtle traffic? They have like dug out a hole underneath the road, so they don't have to cross the road. They go underneath it and
If
then
they
up.
can find it.
Yeah. Have you? But you understand that concept?
Yes.
Have
Does it have headlights?
Have something like that for your pods.
I guess it would have
Like
to
for-
at
like a
night.
car?
Yeah, we'd have to have it at night so you can see where you're going.
Well, bikes don't.
Yeah, bike
Just
lane
put,
others.
just put reflectors
can't-
on it.
You can't. Well, put reflectors on the car.
You have like
the pod.
like in the back have like two little things where you can clasp those little vests.
You know what I used to think of?
Those little neon vests.
Do you remember the movie?
You can have like a vest for your pod.
Do you remember the movie Page Master?
Yeah.
That kid had the coolest bike, did he not? The thing
I
with the
remember
windshield
the bike.
wipers and the headlights.
Oh,
So does it have a bike seat on the inside, or do you have a modified seat?
It's the modified seat. It's the one that
So
you
it's like a
sit-
chair.
That can also
like a car.
recline so you can lay down.
It's the one that you sit. Do you know the bike that you kind of sit?
How open is the bottom though? The bottom is super open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the sides resting on?
The
need to
roll
have-
cage.
The roll cage. What's that resting on?
Well, that's the frame.
Okay, so it does have a frame.
It sits to the bike. The frame attaches to
This
the
whole
bike.
thing is balancing on the weight of the bike.
Oh
so
my
this
God,
could
it's
literally
gonna fall
tip.
over. This is like the worst car. I'd feel safer in an SUV turning
Does it
super
have-
sharp
does
right.
it have- wheels.
Does it have a kickstand that you
So
have
it's
to
a
knock out
four-wheel
when you go to
bike?
park?
It's a 4-wheel bike.
Okay.
Here's another issue that I'm finding with your invention.
What is it?
These would be the easiest thing to steal.
Yes, they would.
You go out and go to the store, someone just gets in your pod and drives it
You
away.
can hook up a bike chain to it.
Oh, you have-
Or would you have a
to-
pod lock?
You
A
have to-
pod lock.
Like
you
a
have to
car
have a pod
lock.
lock.
It's
Okay.
a pod lock.
Well, someone can just snap that.
Someone can just bust your window.
Yeah, but cutting something discreetly is a lot more likely than smashing a window in.
I think it would be terribly difficult to steal the pod.
I don't think it would be
I
difficult
think it
at
would
all.
be noticeable. Someone's
Make this
taking a
pod go somewhere. I guarantee you, I will steal it without you knowing.
Let's do
A challenge. A challenge.
I don't know.
I'm not
how
going to tell you when.
I don't
I'm
know
going to
how
tell you
to
where.
make this thing.
This is his little pod lane.
That's exactly what I want it to look like. Like, that's exactly how I envisioned it. Thank
Really?
you. That's exactly
You're
how I
welcome.
envisioned it.
That's why I was asking you so many questions. You can take a photo of that and post it online if you want. Also, post the side by side.
Yeah, you should. I think people need to see this.
This is Ariana.
I don't think you even need
And
to.
this is Justin.
I'm going to label some of Justin's.
Oh, please go.
It's a little hard to see what he's doing. Okay, so
Which part's the wheel? What part's the head?
pod.
What is this guy holding on to?
This right here is the fan. Wheels. And right here is
Justin.
Justin. I spelled your name wrong. I screwed up
Spell
your
it.
name. Jessington.
Jessington.
Thank
Your
you.
name is Jessington.
Oh my god.
Welcome to my world, where the name is spelled wrong.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know how I spelled your name wrong. It's such
That's
an easy
okay.
name.
No, you were writing it quickly.
That's it though. I want that made.
If someone crashes into that pod, you're dead.
Yeah.
You have a roll cage.
You don't have
Dead.
any kind of
It's gonna crack
impact.
and break. And you have no airbags.
What did you say it was made out of?
He didn't. He didn't get that far.
The pod?
Yeah, the pod itself. What is it made out of?
It could be made out of.
Is it made out of the
It could
metals?
be made out of like a fiberglass.
You are fucked then. If someone runs into your car, you dead. You dead as fuck. If it's
Race
made out
cars
of
are
the
made
same,
out of fiberglass.
if it's made out of the same metal that my sister's 1990
I don't
Volvo
want it to make
was,
it out of metal.
but if you make, it would get so hot too if
Yeah.
you did.
Well, that's what the fan's for.
It will not be made out of metal. It will be roll cage and fiberglass and plexiglass for the windows.
All right,
That's what it'll be made out of.
I'm gonna make mine out of metal.
Don't.
They
Because
look
if you do
like
the 1990 Volvo metal, my sister got into an accident. She was rammed in the back. The guy's car accordioned. My sister's car didn't. Nothing happened to it. You couldn't even tell she was in an accident.
you'd tell if you got into
But with this one,
an accident with the pod.
yeah, you could tell. You
You'd be done.
could tell if you like accidentally hit a sidewalk.
Yeah.
It'd be fucked.
I am
If
so
you collided with another pod, you'd be fucked. If you collided with a pedestrian, this pod would break.
No, it would not.
If a bird hit the windshield and go through.
It's a roll
What about when the
cage.
owl? What about when that owl comes back for you? What's gonna happen when it goes up against your pod?
He's gonna get hitched.
Dude, you'd be inside a roll
Gonna
cage.
take out one of the reflectors.
No, the reflector.
The little reflector
How
sticker is
Lisa
gonna
you
fall.
coughing?
Listen, if here's the idea is that if the pod collided with something,
Yeah.
the pod would be so easily the outside of the pod would be so easily to come apart that it would be taking a lot of the force, and you're inside the roll cage.
And you're in. Oh, so you're in a little like ball.
Yeah.
You're in a
How
ball
heavy
inside
is
of a
this
ball.
pod gonna be?
I guess it would depend on the roll cage, really.
So, estimately.
So, like, let me do another picture.
Estimately.
So, like, the roll cage would go like you'd have.
Because this is the size of a car, and because it has.
So you'd
almost...
have listen. So you'd have the bar that went across here. You'd have another bar that would go here, and then you'd have a bar.
Trying the same.
Of course, it would be the same. The roll cage fits to the thing.
So it's made out of a roll cage covered with something else?
Yeah, so you have the roll cage, like you have the bar that runs the...
So what is the roll? Is the roll cage made of metal?
Well yeah.
So then it's made of metal. So why wouldn't you put
you
metal
could
on
do metal or steel out of the roll cage.
With the case being so cheap, could you not get like a bunch of different cases? Like today I want to be in the one that makes it look like an apple. You got like an apple themed one.
We could make custom pod shells.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is how heavy the cage is, plus the tires, plus the seat, plus all the metal and
all this stuff.
The fiberglass.
The roll cage would be the heaviest thing. The pod.
Pedaling the bike would be almost impossible.
Not quite, because you're still only just you pedaling it.
Right, you're pedaling it with all that weight attached to it.
Plus your own body weight.
Yeah. So it's basically like riding a bike times 100.
So imagine that you're going up a super steep hill, like the one hill in California that they always show in films.
Yeah.
With that plus 6 people on the back of your bike going up.
Good. Could you imagine going down? You'd have no control.
Oh, you would lose all
you
your
would go.
shit.
You'd
have to have like 8 emergency
gravity
brakes.
Yeah. You need to make emergency brakes. That's like a must with your pod.
No one would buy it if you didn't have it.
Mm-mm.
I think this can work. Like, for some reason, I get the feeling that
You know what you've basically made? A box cart.
Yeah.
You've made a box cart.
You should get an electric motor.
That'd be cool.
So, like a Prius as well.
Man, to hell with the Prius.
Hey, I drive a Prius.
I'm gonna end the show here. I want to make this.
Okay. Well,
This is my project.
I'm not saying it can't be made. I'm just making sure you know everything you need to know before you make it.
This is my project for 2017.
I want that made. I think that would be awesome. I just don't think it's ever going to get mass produced.
That'd be awesome, and y'all would be like coming over here. Can I drive your pod around?
I wouldn't ask. I'd just take it.
We wouldn't have to ask. Exactly. We would just take it.
No one's breaking it. This thing is theft-proof, this pod.
How?
So then with the alarms that you got on, that's extra weight.
You said there's no bottom. You could just crawl underneath it.
That's true.
You wouldn't be able to get to the
And
roll
what about all kinds of like bugs and animals just like crawling up in it?
You'd have to put a tarp over your pod.
You need a
And
tarp
under.
now.
Think of it as a bicycle. What about your bicycle?
You can store a bicycle a lot easier.
Well, then you can store the pod.
The pod's like 10 times wider.
You can store the pod.
Hit the pod.
That's all I'm going to say. You can store the pod, and we'll have custom pods. If you want to change your color, you can. You just put another pod on it. If we have little locks right here, you just take your pod off, you put another pod on, and you go about your business. You'd be the coolest thing in town.
Do you need to wear a helmet?
Everyone want a pod. No, but I guess it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Yeah. So, this has been Shooting the Bull. My pod idea is genius, and my project for 2017, I'm making this pod. You're going to help?
I'll help, yeah.
All right, hell yeah. Let's get to work on the pod. Then we need to come up with the blueprints and make the pod.
We already have the blueprint. Those are flawless.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely follow mine. So yeah, this has been Shooting the Bull. Next week, Aaron is going to be in again.
Hello.
And we're going to discuss mental illnesses. And are they related to demons? You'll be surprised at what we found out recently. So we'll go over all that next week on Shooting the Bull. I'm Justin.
I'm Ariana.
I'm Ross.
We'll see you back here next week. Go Pod.